The informational city. The notion of the informational city is not new. In 1989, Manuel Castells published a book called The Informational City and then followed it up with a trilogy of other books on the informational age, where he depicted a network society in which everyone would be interconnected and where information became the logic of how we operate today. In many ways, a very, very far-sighted understanding and very prescient and indeed accurate understanding of the way in which cities operate. This was followed up more recently by a book by Ben Bratton called The Stack. In effect, what Ben Bratton's doing in The Stack is taking this, as it were, two-dimensional notion of a network society and making it into some kind of three-dimensional image. Bratton describes the stack as some kind of accidental megastructure that takes over today's society. The stack refers to transformation in the technological infrastructure of global systems, whereby planetary scale computation has so thoroughly transformed the logics of political geography in its own image that it has produced new geographies and new territories that can enforce themselves. Unlike modern political geography, which is divided up horizontal maps, stack geography also vertically layers the spaces on top of one another. Instead of surveying all the various forms of planetary scale computation and so on as different genres or species of computing, each on its own, this model locates them on layers of a consolidated metastructure, an accidental meta-platform, an accidental megastructure. So this is the vision that he presents of a three-dimensional understanding or three-dimensional rearticulation of the informational city seen by Manuel Castells, these different levels that are all interconnected with one another. Whether or not we can actually see this as three-dimensional, because frankly, to my mind, the domain of computation, the domain of the digital is immaterial. Therefore, the notion of either two-dimensional or three-dimensional makes no sense. It is, in a sense, everywhere. Nonetheless, this vision articulates a radically different view in which the whole of society, at many different levels of operating, is itself governed by this megastructure. One way of thinking about this is, of course, through the logic of the smart city, a term that has become pretty much kind of universal today, in the sense that we use technology to control many aspects of how we operate. The city itself has become, in many ways, saturated by these different technologies that are controlling every aspect of our lives and governing the whole way in which we operate today. We could see this from the level of the individual house, from the way in which a Nest thermostat, which is after all a form of AI, an AI device, is itself controlling our environmental systems, all the way through to the city itself. And let's not forget that, as Bratton very wisely says, that in a sense, the city wears us just as we wear our AI devices. The way in which we use our cell phones effectively means that the city has already been colonized by AI. Whether or not we see AI in an overarching view as colonizing the city, there are many individuals using it, a kind of swarm intelligence, as it were, of AI that is itself being part of the way we operate today. Of course, there will be buildings that will be built. This is a data farm that is being constructed, and there will be many of these constructed, not necessarily in the cities themselves, but nonetheless, buildings will be built to accommodate these new technologies. Nonetheless, the emphasis of this, the emphasis of all this new technology is towards informational systems and not towards building forms. To my mind, the future of the city will be defined by informational systems, by AI and other technologies, and not by the new languages of architecture. The city of the future will not be a city of futuristic forms. It will be a city of futuristic informational systems that will control our cities and in many ways improve them.